I'm here with Dr. Sam King. He is the Director of Superintendent Search Services and Training and Curriculum Manager. Hello, Dr. King.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Fine. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Great.
So we've got a busy day ahead of us today. Can you start off by telling the viewers about the GSBA training curriculum and how does it tie into the State Board of Education's Local Board Governance Council?
There is an extremely seamless alignment, actually, because we have begun to build the curriculum in a way that it closely aligns with the 8 domains. There are 8 domains that are required by law that we provide training for boards around. And the focus is really around board governance. And so when we use that phrase, we really want to clarify what that means. Board governance really relates to the board and the superintendent working together as a unit to secure the expectations around their mission, their vision, all of the things that are important in their school district. And by doing so, especially if they're doing it at a high level, then it really allows them to secure credits even through that training. And so I guess the bottom line would be customizing the training based on what the needs of that organization really is. And I think that's the huge difference in what we're beginning to do now compared to what we were doing prior to, which was great work in everybody's view, I think. But you know, as you grow and evolve, you want to take it to the next level. So that's what we're working to do.
Okay, and then during the pre-training conferences, is that what you encourage as well, to make sure that all of the board and the members, the staff all comes together to make sure that everybody's working together?
Absolutely, absolutely. And for this particular conference, we have several different categories for the pre-conference segment. Pre-conference segment centers on new board member orientation. So we have approximately, well, I guess somewhat over 50 plus board members here, new board members, and they get their first dose in terms of their orientation as well. And so in addition to the new board member orientation, we have 3 different categories of work that board members have chosen to immerse themselves in. One would be the whole notion of equity. What does educational equity mean in the school setting today? As well as community engagement, advocacy. You know, how do we advocate for our community, for children and families throughout the work that we do? In addition to the legal piece, the legal component that always comes into play, which is a common thread that runs through all of the work that we do. And so this pre-conference approach is really centered on those things, but I think the key is that board members can choose among those categories in terms of the items that are foremost and paramount for them in their jurisdiction. Again, customizing that work as well. So.
Okay, that's wonderful information. Now, are there any topics during any of today's workshops that you'd like to elaborate on specifically? I know that there is a busy day ahead full of conferences,
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
Anything you'd like to elaborate on?
Well, I think, yes. The community engagement piece is huge. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I'll begin with the educational equity. And I mention that because as we think about the work that is being done in public education across the nation now, and the growing needs and challenges around public education, which really center on a multitude of items and variables, but one being diversity changes, economic disadvantage. Well over 90% of the children in this nation are now, of course, remain in public schools, and it's no different in the state of Georgia. And the statistics that I just described in terms of increased percentages and proportions that live in economic disadvantage, also changes and fluctuation in terms of the diversity that we see. All these things in terms of changes in reference to diversity we consider positive, but it can become a challenge if you don't evolve with those changes. And so the equity piece that we're continuing to roll out this morning really is an attempt, and it's intended to focus on that. And so how can you continue to grow and reinvent yourselves as board members and as governance teams to begin to do the work that's necessary to close achievement gaps, to close gaps to standard, all of those things, so that all of your children, whether they come from economic disadvantage or whether they are in diverse environments, each child can perform at very high levels. And so how do we keep a finger on the pulse of those items and do the work with that in mind, ensuring that the blueprint and strategic plans reflect that. So
now, is that something that you're hoping to achieve with these pre-conference trainings?
Yes.
To basically start at the top, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that even the head of these different programs understand the diversity piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. In other words, are you defining your population? Are you keeping a finger on the pulse of the changes? Is your population growing? Is it changing? Is it becoming more diverse? Is economic disadvantage changing, fluctuating? If it is, are we developing action plans and action steps to address those needs as we move forward, not considering those things as variables that would prevent you from being successful? However, they can prevent you from being successful if you do not plan accordingly and use those to take you to the next level, if that makes sense. And so those are the things, makes sense. If that's that, those are the things that we're really focusing around right now. So, yeah, for board members.
Wonderful. Now, besides the pre-conference trainings, are there any speakers that you're looking forward to listening in on, or topics that you'd like to make sure that you want all of our viewers to stay on top of and to be able to watch from here?
Well, absolutely. I think our today is really an intro. I mentioned the equity. I mentioned the community engagement piece. So just taking those two in mind, keeping those two in mind. We have two national presenters in terms of the equity piece from the National School Boards Association, as well as connections with the Council of Urban Boards of Ed. Virginia Jacobs, who heads up that program at the national level, is with us this morning from a pre-conference standpoint. Also, Mary Fatakas also consults with the National School Boards Association and the Council of Urban Boards of Ed. And so those are key people that are with us today and will be with us tomorrow for many sessions as well. The other item I'll mention would be the engagement piece, the community engagement piece, the advocacy piece. We have representatives from the Slechty Institute that are here. And so we look forward to seeing that move forward tomorrow, and have really some very similar mini sessions where these people that are with us will have an opportunity to see a certain number of our 700 plus board members in a small group setting, more up close, more intimate discussions related to the work. So we look forward to that. So,
Dr. King, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
speaking with us today.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to the day.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.